Ford is getting back into the luxury car driver's seat. Today, the automaker unveiled plans to revive its lagging Lincoln brand with the new Continental Concept, a full-size sedan coming next year that looks the business. Here to discuss the new direction for Lincoln is Mark Fields, Ford CEO and President. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in here.
Thanks.
Pretty exciting. I mean, this Continental is a real break from the rest of the Lincoln design language. I wonder what you're going for here. Is this a halo car? Is this like a Maybach type luxury car? Or is this the kind of thing that even I could possibly afford one day? I mean, what are we looking at?
Well, when you think about it, Lincoln for us, we're absolutely dedicated to Lincoln as a world-class luxury brand and a client experience to match. It's core to our growth plan as a company. We laid out a plan a couple of years ago. We said we were going to introduce 4 new vehicles in 4 years. This is the 4th vehicle, a full-size sedan. And when you think about the Continental Concept, Continental, it has a meaningful name, and it symbolizes our past, the best of Lincoln sedans. So where we are on the journey with Lincoln, and we know we're on a journey over a number of years, this is going to be our flagship.
Is this, the other 3, though, have already been built on existing platforms. Is this a completely new platform here, this car?
Well, we're just showing the concept right now. We'll talk about more technical details as we get towards the production vehicle, which will be in the marketplace.
So things could
year.
still change?
No, everything's set.
Will you not add suicide doors? Can I just make that one request that we get suicide doors in the back?
You know, it's really interesting. If you look back on the history of the Continental, the first Continental was designed by Edsel Ford. And Edsel was all about beautiful design. And it has always epitomized, in the 50s and 60s, the Continental really epitomized the beauty of full-size sedans. We did have a period of time in the early 60s where we had the suicide doors. And I guess our lawyers won't allow us to say those things.
They won't allow you to use those words, but you could still use the doors that open backwards.
But it was, you know, that was for a short period, but it was very recognizable. But clearly, when you look at this vehicle, we really wanted to signify what we call quiet luxury, which is all about elegant, it's about effortless power, and it's around a serene and relaxing interior, a place to go and chill, if you would.
All right, so elegance, a place to chill. How much of this, though, Mark, is about China? Because you guys have done a lot of research there, and you're, in some ways, are you targeting the Chinese market? Well,
China is an important market. The good news is we've been growing the Lincoln brand globally. Here in the U.S., for example, last year, we grew more than twice the industry average in terms of the luxury industry. We launched the brand in China last fall. And it's really interesting. We did a lot of research in China, and our awareness is very high there because Chinese consumers remember Lincoln as presidential cars, and you had
Matt and I were talking about the Johnson era,
you know,
yeah.
Clark Gable and Elizabeth Taylor, et cetera.
President Kennedy.
So, you know, he was in the car when he was in Dallas that day. But since we launched it in the fall, it's exceeded our sales expectations. So when we were researching this car, what we found between North America, the U.S., and China, there's a lot more similarities than differences in terms of what consumers want. One of the big differences, this full-size luxury sedan in China, you're usually driven. You have a chauffeur. So the backseat amenities are really important. And that's why you see in this concept, this Continental Concept, we spend a lot of time in the rear of the vehicle to make sure it's comfortable, has privacy, gives you that opportunity to relax. But we'll be offering the same vehicle in both markets.
Will that be your biggest market, though, China, for this vehicle?
When you look at the segment, the full-size luxury segment, right now, the biggest market in the world for that is China. It's still fairly substantial here in the U.S. It's been about stable over the last number of years, but it's growing in China. That segment alone last year was up 17%.
And you're opening up a ton of new dealerships there, and it's been a booming market for Ford in general. I love the blue interior here. I have to say, I'm a special kind of consumer maybe, but everyone I've been talking to today has been just praying for one thing, and that's rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive as opposed to front-wheel drive. You only have, I think, Mustang and F-150 on a rear-wheel drive platform. What about this? Are you leaning in that direction?
You know, we're not at this point talking about architectures, and I know you're really cool. But, you know, we take it from a consumer standpoint. And where we're targeting this vehicle in terms of the ride characteristics, in terms of this elegance and this effortless power and this serene and relaxing interior, what we're having our engineers focus on is delivering that regardless of what the architecture it sits on. Because as long as you can deliver that, that's true to your brand, customers don't care they're not saying, well, I'm only going to look at this vehicle because it's rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. They want it to fit what their wants and needs. So we're going to continue to do that with Lincoln.
It looks like you're targeting more Rolls-Royce and Bentley than the Germans. In any case, all of those countries, all of those companies operate in countries where they don't have to use the dollar. Is it a weakness right now for you guys?
Well, when you look at the strength of the dollar, first we have to put it into perspective. When the dollar is strong, it means that the U.S. economy is strong. And this is our largest market and our most profitable. So that's good news for us. The same token, it does erode our competitive price position, particularly versus competitors who are importing vehicles. So when you stand back, it is a net negative for us. But we're going to deal with whatever the business environment throws at us. So we'll continue, first and foremost, to focus on bringing out really compelling products in the marketplace, work on our cost structure, work on our cost efficiencies, scale efficiencies, get the cost down in our vehicles, still provide that value to consumers. But this is the environment we're in right now.
Doesn't it allow you, I mean, John Kravchik from TrueCar has written a story about the fact that it allows you to really beef up the interior. You can put better components because you can afford to buy more of that stuff than your competitors can.
Well, it depends on where those components are coming from. And obviously, as a global OEM manufacturer, we have parts that are domestically produced for our vehicles that are domestically assembled here. We bring in parts from the outside. But overall, we're just, the way we run the business is we look at the business environment every week as a team, and we deal with it. And right now we have a strong dollar environment. Overall, it's a net negative, but there's some positives in there given that the U.S. economy is strong.
What about the lower oil prices and energy prices? Is that changing any of your longer-term thinking in terms of development?
Well, when you look at consumers these days, no matter what the price of gas is, fuel economy is still one of their most important purchase criteria. Because they remember, 4 or 5 years ago when gas was $4.50 a gallon and they had to park their vehicles. We're not seeing a correlation where it's low gas prices, so the industry is going to go up. We've never seen that in the past. But what we have seen is the types of vehicles that consumer wants. So we are seeing consumers favor now more small, medium, and large size SUVs. And as a company, we have a full family of vehicles, so we're there for them. But even in those vehicles, they want the very best fuel economy.
Does it change, though, your longer-term thinking in terms of where energy prices might be going and how you guys might do development?
Our longer-term thinking continues to be, listen, it's a non-renewable resource. So our view is the price of a gallon of gas or a barrel of oil will go up over time. And that's why we're spending so much time on delivering customers the best fuel economy that we can and being among the best or the best in each segment.
Let me just get back to Lincoln for a second and ask about your investment. $2.5 billion over 4 models, this being the 4th. Cadillac has said it's going to put $12 billion into developing that brand. Obviously, that's on a forward basis, and you're looking at stuff that you've done here. What do you think as far as throwing numbers at this?
Well, I think when you look at our journey that we're on with Lincoln, where we are on the journey, we think that's an appropriate amount. Now, keep in mind, that's just CapEx. That's just our capital expenditures. Doesn't include things like launch and advertising and things of that nature.
McConaughey's paycheck.
Exactly. He's done a really good job for us, too. He's put Lincoln back on the map for people.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. We have a new marketing metric, which is how many times your ads get spoofed. So it's been pretty successful. But we think that's an appropriate amount for where we want to head with Lincoln. And keep this in mind, Matt. We're not the biggest. We're one of the smallest. So how are we using that to our advantage? Giving customers personalized service. And if you look at China, for example, the way we've developed our dealerships, when you walk into a dealership in China, it's like walking into somebody's high-end living room. That's the kind of personalized service we want to use to differentiate Lincoln, along with really compelling, elegant design.
When do you think I'm going to be able to get what you would consider the ideal Lincoln experience? When can I walk into a dealership, be treated the way you want me to be treated, and buy the car that you want me to buy?
Well, we have a number of dealers. Our top dealers today are delivering that kind of experience.
Of course, but I mean the end game. When is that?
There's never an end game.
No.
Because when you look at technology and the technology enablers that are really enabling great retail experiences, that's never going to stop. So for us, as Lincoln, we want to keep pushing the envelope in a way that makes customers' lives easier. And we're having our engineers and our marketers focusing on experiences first, and then how does technology enable that experience?